Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Umar Mohammed Umar. Today I'm going to discuss this project called Risk Management, Smart Building Construction. If we go to the next slide, first of all, let's understand what traditional buildings and smart buildings are. Um, Traditional buildings are normal buildings that are not automated, and compared to the modern buildings, which are actually very automated, which means if you go into the house now, if it's automated or smart, it has sensors where the lights will come off and off on based on human instruction, and that's a little bit of example that captures what smart building is. And there's more complex smart buildings, but today let's use that example as an opener. So before we dive into the details of the project, first let's understand what are we going actually to talk about. And first of all, we need to understand core risk categories, assess risk impacts on project objectives, identify proactive mitigation strategies, integrate risk management throughout phases, leverage industry standards and best practices, and preference in ISO standards. Um, in the first slide, we have an introduction. First of all, let's get context of what risk is actually. Risk is something that has consequence, which could be actually positive or negative in project management. Normally, if you hear a risk, you think something that's very bad about to happen. But in project management, it's different. It could be positive or negative. So, and it could have precautions on the effect of the project variables. What of project variables? We know as project managers or incidents of project, what project variables they are: scope, time, cost, and quality of the project. And anything that has effect on it is very important thing. So a risk is something that will have effect on those project variables or objectives. If you go back to understanding a little bit about smart buildings, it has Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and automation for efficiency and sustainability. There's a very good word there, sustainability. Sustainability is something that in the 21st century everyone is going to. So it's something very important, which means thinking about the future ahead, like preserving the climate and stuff like that. So as we know, complex projects has that comes with consequences themselves. So the bigger the project, the more risk possibilities. That's why smart projects or smart buildings are big projects, which has various different technical, environmental, operational risks. We categorize it. There's a bunch of risks that we're going to discuss, but we categorize it into three main things. As you can see it here on slide, supply chain disruptions, cost overruns, regulatory compliance issues, cybersecurity threats to Internet of Things systems, maintenance and operational issues, stakeholder misalignments, environmental risks. When it comes to this risks, fast risk supply chain, but before we get into, we have to understand that every risk that we're going to see will look into the effect it will have or on project variables or project objectives like cost, time, and quality, etc. So supply chains disruptions happen when there's shortages, geopolitical tensions, pandemics, some component delays, or impact on cost it has is higher due to emergent sourcing. Impact on quality it can have is use of lower grade substitutes. That means quality may not compromise by substituting components with lower grade alternatives. That's a way to mitigate that. Costs escalate when sourcing components originally from RTF or premium sources. And when we're talking about geopolitical tensions or pandemic, we can use the COVID-19 example. During COVID-19 examples, we can take example as smart buildings that were going on during that they face a lot of problems, including shortages of the or supply shortage because the world wasn't connected at the time. At the time, every country boundaries were closed, so which means you couldn't get supply of the components of things that you may need to develop those buildings, which has a lot of effect on the project schedule, as well as the cost, because it sometimes can get expensive when something is rare to find. It has impacts on the time, as we've discussed, like delayed schedules. But what we can do as a response sometimes, and let's say supplier problems, you could do is diversify suppliers or early procurement or buffer stock. Those are some solutions that you could actually use to mitigate those issues. Swiftly moving on to something very actually important, which is threats. This is a very vulnerable position when there's one of the rules that most of the projects that are very smart has is the cyber threats, because those systems can be hacked, which is actually a very big problem. So risks can be like something unauthorized access, data breaches, and system shutdowns can happen because of a third party has access to your systems. So the only way, or the possible ways that it could impact in different times, like scope, is that addressing the it could impact security scopes, increased costs, extended timelines, a loss of trust and quality. Also, the way to respond to those strategies could be something like proactive measures to mitigate threats and ensure robust Internet of Things system security. And next, we have regulatory compliance issues. Example is Malaysia has laws on regulatory compliance issues when it comes to projects. So the way this could affect the project is impact on project scope, cost, time, and quality at the same time in a way which is like it could lead something like added features, increased legal and redesign expenses, approval delays, and rushed quality adjustments. Swiftly moving on, and so I don't want to take more of the time. So stakeholder misalignment is another risk that could come, and costs could be conflicting goals among developers, IT teams, and planners. Something like if you work in some projects and the project stakeholders could have different views on how certain things might be done in different ways, and it also has effects in different ways on scope, cost, and time and quality. It's like reduced performance could happen in terms of quality. Decision delays could happen in terms of a time schedule, could be affected on redesign expenses, could happen. So when it comes to cost overruns, what causes, first of all, underestimation, delays, scope change, scope creep, something called scope creep can happen if the scope is not actually defined or not known. So underestimation can happen. Sometimes you can estimate what's about to come. So the impact it may have is budget strain, schedule delays, reduce scope and quality. Also, response that you could have to kind of overcome is contingent reserves or value engineering to have, let's say, extra funds if something pops up that you could use to kind of solve that issue. Environmental risks. This is very important. It has a lot of effect not only you not only the project stakeholders to even outsiders. It could how the project affects the environments, which is very main issue we'll discuss throughout the world lately. Risks include floods, extreme heat, and disasters. Environment risks that could come to your project. Impact involve design changes, budget increase, delays, and quality issues. Responses could be implementing a thorough assessment and design for resilience helps mitigate environmental risks. Maintenance and operational issues is another thing that we need to discuss as this part of the risks that could come. Causes could be complex systems, untrained staff, poor integration. Response could be staff training, maintenance, contractors. So is a way to deal with that issues. Impact it could have on projects is service delays could happen, reduced user satisfaction, and higher costs normally. Those are the things that could come from at the end of that. What are the pros and cons of living environments that are urban? Pros could be energy efficient, improved services, safety, convenience is very comfortable to live in urban living, I would say. High costs, privacy concerns, as we said, that they could be hacking or something like that because we're talking about systems, and systems as always leaks. As an engineer, I have seen that. Digital divide, maintenance complexity. Um, Conclusion and recommendations that I would conclude in this project is effect risks management is very important, I would say. So effect risk management is essential for smart buildings. Managing risk efficiently ensures project goals are met and mitigates potential setbacks in smart building construction. Key risks require proactive identifications. Assessment of risks is critical for informed decision making. Response strategies must be implemented promptly. Time risk response prevents escalation, supports project continuity. Embedded risk management throughout all project phases is actually very important. Integrating risk practice from planning throughout completion ensures comprehensive coverage. I think those are the points that we've discussed, and hopefully I have not run out of time. These are the references I've used to kind of collect the data I've used to discuss this project. Thank you.